Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. This episode is based on an article I wrote for psychologytoday.com called Are You Living in the Past?, which I'll link to in the show notes. In that article, I talked about a hypothetical client called Sheila, who was given way too much responsibility as a very young child, and she was punished whenever she acted, quote-unquote, irresponsibly, even though her behavior was normal for children her age. In therapy as an adult, Sheila learned that this inappropriate burden of childhood responsibility had led to her continuing to accept more than her share of responsibility as an adult, both at home and at work, and it was causing her tremendous stress. Once she understood that it wasn't reasonable or necessary for her to be responsible for everything and everyone, she gradually began to relax and experiment with allowing other adults to take care of themselves. Letting go of over-responsibility was a healthy development for Sheila. But when her husband forgot to pack his reading glasses for a trip and he found out that Sheila had seen them lying around when they were leaving for the airport and hadn't said anything, it caused trouble between them. Sheila's husband was confused and hurt that she hadn't mentioned seeing his glasses unpacked before they left. And Sheila was annoyed at his expectation that she take any responsibility for his forgetting to pack them. In this case, Sheila's healthy response to too much responsibility in the past caused trouble in her current relationship with her husband. Most of us who don't struggle with responsibility issues wouldn't think twice about saying, "Honey, don't forget to pack your glasses. I saw them on the table." But for Sheila, this was something she was working on overcoming. Sheila's personal growth goal of not being responsible for other adults conflicted with her relationship goal of caring for her husband in the ordinary, small ways that partners typically do. So, what was the right thing for Sheila to do when she spotted her husband's glasses? Should she have mentioned them to him? Well, that turns out to be a trick question because what was right for Sheila turned out maybe not to be exactly right for her relationship in that moment. If she had looked after her husband and his glasses, even in a very small way, by just mentioning that she saw them, that might have felt to Sheila like a step backward in her healing from over-responsibility. There was no good solution in that moment that would satisfy both Sheila's personal growth and the well-being of her relationship. For many parents healing from dysfunctional or even abusive relationships earlier in life, estrangement by an adult child can present similar dilemmas. Your estranged adult child might need you to listen to their experience with an open heart, but your own emotional healing and growth might require you to speak up for yourself and take your own side in any conflict. When this happens, this conflict between personal growth and capital P parenting, there is no right answer, no right action you can take to satisfy your needs in both contexts. There's only a choice in those moments between a rock and a hard place. I don't think this potential inner conflict between personal growth and parenting gets enough attention. I believe for many parents, it's the very reason they struggle with being consistent in how they think about their adult child's estrangement, let alone how they respond to it. You may find that one day you feel deeply empathetic toward your adult child, and the next you're annoyed or hurt and tempted to believe they're just being mean. From what I've seen in working with hundreds of parents now, it's not uncommon to go back and forth like that. And it makes sense when you realize that your personal growth and your parental instincts are always both in play. So, should you stand up for yourself and refuse to be blamed, maligned, or discounted? Or should you meet your child's pain or frustration with defenselessness and an open heart? The answer to both questions, of course, is yes. Yes, those are both good things to do. It's good for us and healthy to stand up for ourselves and set boundaries around how we're treated. And it's good and equally healthy to listen with an open mind when someone we love has a complaint. We just can't always do both. In some moments, we have to choose. It's a dilemma. I'm not going to suggest that there's an answer here. There isn't. That's what makes it a dilemma. Perhaps the best you can do if your personal growth project conflicts at times with your Parenting for Reconnection project is to acknowledge to yourself that you are, in fact, through no fault of your own or anyone else's, caught in a dilemma. You might say to yourself, I'm trying to stop putting other people's needs and opinions ahead of my own in order to heal, and yet my adult child needs me to do just that in order for them to heal. What a terrible decision to have to make between your own healing and that of your child or children. Once you've recognized this awful dilemma, you might feel less anxious to reconcile right now. It might not feel safe to be close during this period of inner conflict. But if you continue to heal and grow, these periods do pass. Any inner conflict between personal growth and relationship maintenance does not have to be a permanent fixture, or if it is, it won't always be this intense or this difficult to navigate. The further we are along our personal path of healing and growth, the more flexibility we gain in our thoughts and behavior. Whenever we make changes, including the changes that accompany genuine personal growth, there's usually a period when we have to overcompensate. Not only will I refuse to put myself last with my fill-in-the-blank, my wife or my dad or my best friend anymore, I will not put myself last under any circumstances with anyone. It's as though we've finally got a hammer and now everything looks like a nail. If personal growth seems at odds with parenting for you right now, it does get easier in time. Remember Sheila, who refused to help her husband remember to pack his glasses. She was trying to let go of being responsible for others to heal from inappropriate over-responsibility. And so for a while, that personal growth task included every other adult and every responsibility, large or small. But the untold part of Sheila's story is that eventually she accumulated enough experience practicing new behavior that her freedom from the old behavior felt sufficiently established, and she began to feel as though reminding her husband to pack his glasses was a responsibility she could safely welcome in her life, and it made her marriage feel more like a partnership. Now when Sheila says, "Honey, don't forget your glasses," the words may be the same as before she began to change, but her motivation and her experience is much more relaxed and positive than before. If you are on a path of personal healing and growth, you might trace the same circle of change from where you started to practicing new behaviors over time, moving through that everything looks like a nail for your hammer phase, to becoming more and more flexible with new behavior so that you can safely turn it off and on again when you need to. In the end, you'll see that stark contrast begin to soften and fade that stood between your personal growth and the well-being of your relationships. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.